The world always needs writers, especially persuasive writers. And they're all on these platforms looking for you. That's how you start. One client leads to two clients, and then you're on your way. You're building a book.
All right. Hi, everybody. We have Shaun here. He's going to walk us through a little bit of his journey in copywriting and really explain to you guys how you can make your first $1,000 doing copywriting, making content online, and start to generate some profit. So take it away, Shaun.
All right. Well, thanks for having me again. We're going to try and do this as the SG Content 101, get you ready to go. So step one, this is very important. You have to actually like writing and reading. And you have to read and write as much as possible, because if you're not good at what you do, then you will not have customers. And content writing is all about referrals, and it is about repeat business. It is not a one and done. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a one and done, but usually people that, at least in my experience of doing it with, I don't even know how many clients. I have to look at the numbers, but I've done it for a lot of entrepreneurs and startups and venture capital funds and whatnot. It's usually they start with something and then they come back a month later, and you have this kind of nice network you build out because you're good at what you do. So you have to read and write as much as possible. Even when you're not working with clients, it needs to be something that you truly enjoy doing. You do not want to wake up and check your phone and say, oh, got a client, he needs 5,000 words on this and I don't want to do it. You have to be excited for that because, hey, that's awesome. I just read something about that and I know this and I can plug it in. So that's number one. Read as much as possible, write as much as possible, be the best content writer that you can be.
Are there any specific books that you recommend?
For learning how to copyright or just reading?
Just reading.
Just reading in general, I'd say read what you enjoy. I mean, my interests are vast. One week I'll be reading about mythology. Another week I'll be reading about science. Another week I'll be reading about business. It comes back to being, a reader and a writer. You don't have to have a specific book to teach you how to write. I feel like now, I mean, you should have learned that in elementary school, middle school. And if you haven't, Google how to be a good writer. I'm sure there's a step thing, but it really comes to like knowing the pronunciation, knowing the tense, knowing, having good verbiage. So it's extremely important. If you want to set up a website for it to have a landing page, you can. That should be, around step two. But at the same time, I feel like in this day and age, you can set up a Fiverr account, an Upwork account at no costs. You don't have to have the website. You can create your profile for free. And then it's about finding clients. It's really about finding the right client for you. And as you're finding these clients, going back to kind of a mix between step one and step two, is that, AI is a big part right now of copywriting and content creation. But AI is the tool. You're the machine. People do not want AI-driven stuff. They can do that themselves. What they want is someone that has a brain, that has a mind, that can craft really good content that doesn't sound like a robot. So you can use the AI tools that are here to help you. But if you're just copying and pasting, people will put it through an AI reader, especially if they don't want AI stuff, and that's it. You'll lose your clients. So you have to be able to distinguish between being a good content creator and a ghostwriter by having the knowledge to do so, because a lot of times people are going to want to talk to you. Let's hop on a Zoom. I want to understand your mindset. Let's show me your past work. Well, if you don't have any past work, you can, just say, well, I'm still, demonstrating it, or I've won this in school, or I've written essays. I mean, you can show like previous essays and say, I've done this for a client, or I've done this, or this is my focus. They just want to know that you're not brainless. You might laugh at that, but a lot of people are. I have a lot of clients that come to me and are like, there's two things. One, are you a native English speaker in the United States? That's a big one, because a lot of people aren't. And there's a lot of people around the world that are not native English speakers that will say they are traveling to see family, but they can still do the work even though they're not. They're lying just to get a client. So one, if you're a native English speaker, and two, if you're in the United States, you're already ahead of 99% of the other people. And those other people will use AI. They will just copy and paste. So yeah, I don't think you need a personal landing page yet. I think you can experiment at no cost for free on Fiverr and on Upwork, and look at, there are a variety of other websites as well. I don't use them because they're just not good, but there are plenty of even agencies seeking writers. There's easy ways to get your foot in the door to experiment. At this stage, it's not about making $500 an article. It's more about finding clients you can use that are willing to pay you for your expertise and then expanding from that. The world always needs writers, especially persuasive writers, especially knowledgeable writers. And they're all on these platforms looking for you. So it's just a matter of finding the right client and reaching out and showcasing your work, showcasing what you can do. A lot of them, again, we'll go for someone that native English speaker in America, that even if the price is relatively low, that's a client. That's how you start. One client leads to two clients, and then after two leads to four, and then five, and then you're on your way. You're building a book, and you can use that book to go from, okay, I started and it was $30 for this client, 50 for this client. Now it's 250. Now it's 400. But you can't start with that. It's very difficult, especially if you're just starting out. So you have to be patient. So I feel like, step three, it comes with the patience as you weed out your vertical, as you weed out your clients. Step three is really being universal right now. And being universal is like, okay, I can write this. I'm going to practice with this. I can do it. But as you write for all these different clients, and trust me, you could have municipalities that you have to write about, landing pages, individual entrepreneurs, LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts, content for social media posts like Instagram. There are so many different things you can do and build up this client book. But once you start to find what it is you really like to write about and what it is that your focus is, and maybe you start seeing that, hey, most of my clients are in this space, I'm going to start focusing on this because it makes you stronger. Now, when you do your website, or when you do reach out, your message saying, oh, okay, I'll use my niche for example, startups and venture capital. Oh, okay, well, my startups and venture capital articles are read by tens of thousands of readers a month through newsletters, through websites, through landing pages. Here's my portfolio. These are the ones that my name is on. These are the ones I've ghostwritten. Okay, so now I have a niche. Now it doesn't have to be venture capital or startups for you. It could be TikTok growth. It could be, I see a lot of stuff for writing about air conditioners and roofing and pools. Like there's a lot of stuff that, you can kind of build out your persona doing, and that's a big market. And if you can build that out where you get to that point where it's like, yeah, here's what I've done. And even if they paid you $50 at the time to do it, but you can up your price to $250 or $300, they're not going to go question your other clients. And no one ever asks for referrals. You have them if you need it, but the proof is there. I wrote this. I don't use ChatGPT. I am the ChatGPT. I'm constantly reading, constantly writing. I've worked with X amount of clients. I've been featured in magazines. I've been featured on podcasts. There are so many things you can do. So that kind of like brings me to step four, is that you are playing with the pricing, that you have to be flexible on the pricing. You don't have to tell anyone a year from now that you started out doing $10 for a 500-word blog post. You don't have to tell them. What you do have to tell them is that a year from now, those 500-word blog posts are now $150, and you've done dozens of them, and that you have the experience. You could even, listen, if you can pull it off, I try and start at a high price. You might be surprised. Well, I would say start just playing with the pricing. Do everything. See how people pay. Because one person that's paying you $10 per post might say, hey, I have 100 posts I need to do. Okay, now I have a real client. Every day, I just hop on and do it. I'm going to make my $1,000 this month. And I have a real little side hustle. Maybe I can turn that side hustle into a real business. Maybe I can turn that side hustle into one of my income streams or my main income stream. It's very hard. It takes a while to do. It's very competitive. But your competition is probably playing around with AI and just generating it, and is not as focused. And you can use your mind, and you can use AI and run it through and say, okay, I'm using what I wrote because one, it's better, because most time it is. But ChatGPT gave me two good adjectives. I'm going to just use those two adjectives. That way, if they run it through an AI reader, it's 99% human, or 99 point whatever. Like no one's going to care with it. So play with the pricing, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. And if you can build this customer base at $10 a post, $20 a post, and then slowly expand to 100, to 200, to like professional level, 500, 700, you're going to realize that, wow, 6 months ago, I made $150 a week. Now I get $250 per job, and you can charge that. You can actually charge that, and no one's gonna, blink an eye because you have the proof to back it up. You have your portfolio, you have your database, you have the skill set. And I think, as you build it out, step 5 is use your network. And what I mean by use your network is that, yes, social media is great. You can make a post, maybe you'll get somebody, maybe you'll get some congratulatory messages and whatnot, but use your personal network. In school, maybe someone's parents need something done. Someone quoted them $500, but oh, hey, you're a smart kid. I'll give you $30, cash. Just give you $30 to do it. Okay, that's a client. See who someone's uncle is. See who someone, who someone else knows, who someone's sister is, who someone's coworker is. I mean, I built most of all my businesses because I never really ran Google Ads. I think I spent like $100 once on Google Ads just to see if they worked. Spoilers, they didn't. It was all referrals. It was all, hey, this guy is good at what he does. I am going to introduce him to my friend. My friend is then going to introduce me to his friend. So it's really, getting that personal touch, even if it's local. Entrepreneurs like to think, I'm going to be global. I'm going to have customers in 75 countries. All that stuff's great. But if you live in the middle of a small town in the suburbs, you can build a nice little business locally. I mean, that's what I did when I was 16. Built a nice little business in the South Florida area. And then when I got into nightlife, it became an international thing, but it was still local first. So you don't have to worry about finding customers all over the place. You want to find customers that will pay you. Sometimes it's your neighbor. Sometimes it's someone down the street. Sometimes it's someone 2 miles away. Focus on it. I used to hand out business cards back when they were a thing. I used to hand out cards to everybody, everyone I met. So that way they knew they had a card. And I think right now in this day and age, people don't hand out cards anymore because here's my QR code, scan. What's your social media? But hand out a card, see what happens. That's not a really heavy expense. I don't know what they charge now, but I remember back in the day, it was like $50 for 500 of them. It's really nothing. Get a card made with your services and a QR code that they can scan on the card. Boom, there's your email, there's your portfolio. If you do a landing page, there's your Upwork profile, and that's it. You're on your way. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the main steps. It's relatively simple. You have to be able to execute, and you need a skill set for this. And the skill set, besides being a good writer, besides constantly reading, besides constantly practicing your craft, is being reliable. Someone's going to say, hey, when's it going to be done? Tomorrow at 3. It needs to be done by tomorrow at 3. No excuses. Once you experiment with this, you'll see, okay, I have a lot of work. Give me till Thursday. Give me till Wednesday. It's fine. Nobody expects it this second, unless they specifically say, I need this by tonight, which then you can do a little upsell and say, okay, well, you're going to give me $20. You need this tonight. This is rush. It's 120. Anyone that's on a deadline will probably pay. They'll probably, okay, done. Just get it to me tonight. But you have to be reliable to do it. They need it at 9 o'clock tonight. Get it to it at 8 o'clock. It's very difficult to be successful as a writer, as a content creator. In fact, as an entrepreneur, if you're not reliable. 2, punctual. If you have a meeting with the client, it starts at 3 o'clock. Doesn't mean 3:05. Doesn't mean 3:30. Doesn't mean 4 o'clock. 3 o'clock. They are giving you their time to give you their money. You have to be on time. You have to be on point. You have to be ready to work, and you have to, just be reliable and be a person of your word. Yes, things get delayed, and you can tell them, hey, I'm running late, and I have all these other things going on. Can we reschedule? It's fine. It can't be a habit. Can't be. And the most important is being professional. Being professional. Being someone that say, you want to know what, especially if you're under 21, and this is for every generation, so I'm not knocking this generation. I knock every generation. But when you're young, people assume that you're just flaky, you're not professional, you're not going to pay attention, you're too scatterbrained. So when you actually prove yourself, they're going to go, damn, this kid knows what's up. I'm going to help him. This person is more professional than everyone I know that are in their 30s and 40s. I say that because when I was doing everything at 16, 17, 18, that's kind of how I moved up very fast and got a lot of clients, is because the 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid is on point, and the people that were in their 20s, 30s, 40s couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that someone of that age group that wasn't busy, getting lost and, oh, well, I'm supposed to have this, but whatever. Or, there's a party, or there's the prom, or, there's the tailgate, or there's the football game. It's like, if you can push past all that, the doors are going to open for you. And that's even further down the line, because I have people still today that in my network that used me when I was a kid, and that were supporting me, and were coming, either using me as for writing, or as for my parties, or for consulting, or whatever. And they still come back because they just want to say, wow, what are you up to? How can I help? Because I helped them get out of a jam. I helped them solve a problem. I presented the solution to them. I was part of, their resources, and I did it for them at a lower price point that worked for me. Because again, adults will be like, give me $500, and 17-year-old is like, you're gonna give me $100? Awesome, give me as much as you can. And it just worked out for everyone. But it came from being professional. It came from just being like, I'm on point. Whatever you need, let me know, and the doors will open. So all these things that we're going through, all these steps, they cost nothing, but they will pay. Cost nothing. Even unless you want to set up the landing page, which will cost a little bit of money. But all these platforms are free. Upwork, you'd have to buy Connects, which you can experiment for as low as $40, and that should keep you going for 3 weeks, just till you get a client that'll probably break even with that, so you can kind of start your journey. But it's all essentially free. There's no merchandise you need to buy. There's no shipping costs. It is just you and a laptop and a phone and an internet connection, and you can do it. I'm living proof you can do it, and you can do it better than people that have more experience than you, and people that have more, have a larger portfolio. You can come in because you're the person that is going to be more reliable, punctual, more professional, and you're going to be cheaper, and you're going to be able to build a book of business and build a network from doing that offering. And I think if you're doing it well, you could easily make your first 1,000 in under a month, easily. And then it becomes a thing where, okay, now let's make our first 5,000, first 10,000. And again, I highly recommend it. It's not easy. It's not for everyone. You have to really like to read. You have to like to write, and you have to enjoy dealing with people when they say, I want this rewritten, or the revisions. But it can be rewarding, and I highly recommend it, just because of the pretty much nothing barrier to entry. You can start right now.
That's awesome. As you scale, this is the only question I have. Are there any softwares that you recommend, like Calendly, or I use TidyCal, but like any softwares that you recommend?
So Calendly, I don't use. I usually, when talking to a client, I say, here, what's your Calendly? And if they have one, I just use theirs. Done. I don't have to pay for Calendly. Or I say, I'm on Eastern time. What's a good time? And then I use Google. Google's free. That's it. Just go to Google, get a Gmail account, and that's it right there. So I use ChatGPT to just, again, I scan it through in case it comes out with some adjectives I like, or a different phrase, but it's always 99% me writing. It's always 99% me writing or rewriting. ChatGPT is free unless you want to upgrade for $20 a month. You don't need it. It's free. I use Google again for Google Documents, because again, type, click share, they can go in and see it. No, nothing. I mean, I really don't have anything. I have my regular email. I have a Gmail if it's needed. I personally spend on Upwork, because that's another like form of just kind of getting clients from, as opposed to just my personal network. I spend maybe $100 a month on Upwork,
Is
maybe
that to
120.
boost your profile?
So not even to boost profile, just to get the connects, because
Okay.
I reach out to people. But to me, it's nothing, because my hourly rate it justifies, the month of contacts, and I have lots of clients. So yeah, but again, it's really marginal. I spend nothing, and anything I can use would be free. And I recommend that no matter what you do, you can go to, you can always do it for free. You can experiment for free. You can go to Midjourney and generate a logo for free. You can really, get a landing page for free until you get a domain, and then the hosting, which really is marginal, $15 for the domain name, or $12, and then, the hosting, maybe $200 for the year, or something like that. But you don't need that yet. You just need to have yourself and a phone and reach out to people and see. I belong to a lot of Slack groups that I also get inbound from. Again, it's mostly entrepreneurship, venture capital, and really it just comes down to having the referrals.
Yeah.
That's servicing your clients, being the best that you can possibly be, because don't look at it as one client, look at it as a door to multiple clients. And it
Mhm.
always happens that way. So if you have 100 people that you've worked with, that's expect at least doors to at least 1,000. They each know 10 people and they could
Mhm.
send you people. I see it happen every day. People come
Yeah.
and they text me and they email me, hey, can you do this? And say no problem. So yeah, I highly recommend it, because you can
Yeah.
experiment over the next week and see if it's going to work or not.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not going to be anything that's going to, break the bank.
Yeah. In terms of finances, it's like almost no barrier to entry. So anybody
None.
can experiment, try it out, and like you said, maybe you make your first 1,000 in the first month. That's incredible. Just side cash you could turn into a full-time thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shaun. That was incredibly valuable. I hope everybody learned something, and we're gonna have a lot more writers out there in the world.
Hope so. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Bye bye.